Welcome to Peiwen's Note. Today we have the world-famous pianist Pascal Rogé. Hello, Pascal.
Hello.
Good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Welcome back to Taiwan.
Always a pleasure.
What brings you here this time?
Many things. Recital first at the beautiful National Concert Hall.
What did you play this time?
I played the complete Debussy Preludes, both books.
Indeed.
And then I gave quite a lot of master classes. And finally I was member of the jury of the first Taipei International Piano Competition, which was very exciting. Level was very high, and yeah, it was a great experience.
And you told me like one of the prize winner is only 12 years old.
Yeah, it's amazing. The second, one of the second prize, because they shared the second prize, but the one is 15 and the other one is 12. It's really impressive.
They got better and better.
Really impressive. And among the young students I had during master classes, there were really several kids of 14, 13. Incredible level and the motivation, and yeah, I was very impressed.
Wow, that I saw that all around the newspaper.
Yes.
It was really big deal. I mean, it doesn't happen often.
No, I think it was a great event for the young generation to be able to. We were many. It was not only me, but all the other members of the jury. They also gave master classes, so I think it was a great opportunity for those young kids to be in touch with masters from all over the world, from Germany, France, Korea, so
that's really amazing. Yeah. And I'm going to talk about you. When you were only 17 years old, you became a recording artist for Decca.
Yeah.
You must be a child prodigy.
Well, I started the piano, I was 3 years old. So my mother was my first teacher for the first 7 years. She was a pianist, organist, and my grandmother was also a pianist, and my grandfather was a violinist. So I was
you
really
come
born
from a
in
very
music.
musical
Yeah. I was born in music, and playing the piano was the most natural thing. There were two pianos at home, and I started banging the piano.
It's your toy, right? At first.
And my mother said, "Why don't you put your fingers on the right key?" So that's what I did, and I never stopped, because there was really a passion. Even at that age, I remember I couldn't get away from the keyboard. That was fascinating, the sound, and everything. So yeah.
And then you won so many prestigious competitions, and then you've done so many incredible recordings, and
Did a lot, yeah.
They won like at least 2 gramophones and many others. And could you tell us about your award-winning CDs?
Yeah, I got a lot of different prizes around the world, but what I'm very proud about is to have been able to record complete music by Debussy, Ravel, Satie, and Poulenc. So really I'm very proud to be able to, because French music is really it's my language. I was born in it, and of course I did play almost everything, because you have to when you're a young pianist. But later I really discovered that even if I can speak many languages, musical languages, I still have a mother tongue, and mother tongue is French music. So
exactly. And I read one of the big projects is called Rogé's Edition, right? And I think I bought the whole set of albums.
Yeah,
would you like to tell us about it?
At some point I decided to be my own boss in the record companies, because you get to be more independent and to record what you want with whom you want without pressure of the big companies. So nowadays it's possible, and so I'm proud that I have my own record collection, and it's going well. And now I slow down a little bit the recording, because I think I've almost recorded everything I wanted, but not yet completely. So I still have a few projects ahead. But I think the world has changed since my first recording with Decca, and the record business is very different now, and so you have to adapt and to use the new technology to distribute music, which is not anymore CDs or music is available now anywhere at any time, which I think is a great thing. It's different, but music is more and more available, and I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. And I went to many of your concerts, and I even performed a Ravel concerto with you when I was in the National Symphony Orchestra. And your music is so beautiful and so colorful, like I could see Monet's painting. So what's going through your mind, like when you perform these pieces?
Well, you're right. I mean, there is a strong connection between the music of Fauré, Debussy, Ravel, and the artists of the Impressionism that time, because not only they were living at the same time, but they had a similar approach. I mean, close to nature, and colorful, and using a lot of different brushes. That I always compare picture of Monet and some Debussy preludes, because if you look to a Monet picture from very close, it's nothing. I mean, it's just colors blurred. But if you take a little bit of distance, then you suddenly see that, oh yeah, it's a garden, or it's a tree, it's a water lily, is a thing. And music of Debussy is similar in the sense that if you look at the notes, you see, oh, there are a lot of notes, but what is it? If you play them just straight, it doesn't really sound like anything. But if you add your own pedaling and colorful and sound, it becomes wind, it becomes water. So it's not to do with imagination. I think interpretation is one thing, but imagination of sound and colors is very important. I remember I was very fortunate when I was a kid to play for Marguerite Long. Marguerite Long was the favorite interpreter of Ravel and Debussy and Fauré. So I was 9 and she was 90. But
amazing.
I still remember like it was yesterday, and I was so impressed, because for me it was like seeing Debussy himself. Because she told me, you know, young man, here Debussy told me. So it's fantastic. And I remember I played for her a prelude called Footstep in the Snow. And I started the prelude 2 bars at a time, and she stopped me and said, it's not cold enough. Okay. So what do you do? And that's all. She didn't say anything else, and I was 9 and I was not sure what I should do. But I think it was a great lesson, because even if I didn't get it at the time, now I understand. And every time I play that prelude, I think of that. Yeah, you have to play cold, so you have to use your imagination. How can I produce a cold sound? And I think it was a great lesson, because if she had told me it's too slow, it's too fast, too loud, I would have forgotten. But that kind of imagery is very important, and I think that's the key of playing Debussy or Ravel, is to have imagination and to go beyond the notes, beyond the dynamics, beyond the markings, because that music is really full of imagination and related to nature. It's a world by itself.
Oh, that's a really amazing.
I had wonderful teachers, I must say, not only Marguerite Long, but I had Nadia Boulanger, and I had Lucette Descaves, who was a student of Marguerite Long, and the great Julius Katchen from different school, American school. So I was very fortunate with my teachers, because they brought me different influences, and had a great respect for all of them, and my mother, of course. So if I'm here today, it's because of them.
Do you have a favorite composer?
If I'm sorry?
Do you have a favorite composer?
Oh, that's very hard to say, because they're all my friends, and if really I have to, I would say Debussy, maybe, because he's the one that has really changed the world of harmony and piano writing. But I love Ravel too, and I love Poulenc, and I love Satie. And
you're so good at all the French music.
It has to be among the French composers. So definitely it's my world, it's my language, it's my culture. I feel very close. I always remember a word by Francis Poulenc, who said, yes, Brahms, Beethoven, Schumann, they're gods. But Fauré, Debussy, Ravel, they're friends. And I deal better with friends than with gods.
Wow,
so I have a bit the same feeling. I feel closer to those composers.
And what advice do you have for the young pianists out there and who are trying to be a better musicians?
Creative and to be personal, to develop their own personality. I mean, that's, as a jury member, that's what I look for when I hear competition. Not technical, because they all play perfectly now. So the difference comes from the personality, the interpretation, what they bring from themselves, and that's what I was very impressed with those little kids that played for me. I could feel that they were really doing something from themselves, not only the teacher told them. It was personal, and they were, even at that age, they were able to adapt to what I was saying, and they're very curious, and they're ready to open mind about a lot of things. So yeah, I think that's what I'm looking for: interpretation and personality.
So have you been to New York lately?
Yes, I used to live in New York, but now I moved to Switzerland. But I was in New York 2 weeks ago to do something quite unusual, is to record on the new Steinway Spirio, which is an instrument that is able to reproduce your sound live. It means that you play on the piano, and a few seconds later the piano just replay what you've just done. And it's amazing because you can hear your sound not through a loudspeaker or through a record or CD. It's live, the piano plays, and it's exactly similar. The pedal, the dynamics, everything is the same. Anyone who can afford one of those pianos can have me and other artists playing in their sitting room on the piano. You have your little iPad or whatever, and you type, I want to hear Pascal Rogé, Debussy Prelude, up, and the piano starts. It's really
like
fantastic.
a live in the concert
it's like
hall.
A live performance.
That's
so
perfect.
I was joking with her, say, oh, okay, so you just have to put a hologram, so, and I don't need to. Yes, we're thinking about it. So that's the next step, because if you have several of those pianos, they will all play simultaneously. So you can imagine yourself playing in Tokyo and then having another piano in New York and another one in Paris, another one in London, and they will all play the same simultaneously.
Wow.
It's quite amazing, yeah.
Amazing.
So I still believe in live and performance and presence of the artist, but I think it's a amazing technology, and it's quite an interesting new step in reproducing music.
Wow. And what's your newest project? Are you having any new CD coming out?
Yeah, well, the latest I recorded is again about French music, of course, but it's about less famous composers. In 1920, there was a group of composers that got together, and they were called the Group of the Six, and they were friends, and they were young, and they were trying to get out of the influence of the great masters like Debussy or Ravel. They had a new language, and I thought they are less maybe well known from the audience, but they're great composers. So I did a recording with Amy, my wife, and we did like to celebrate because it's exactly 100 years ago that group was created, and we did a recording of all those 6 composers, and also Satie, who was a kind of godfather of the group. So in that group there was, the most famous one is Francis Poulenc, of course, but there were composers like Georges Auric, Arthur Honegger, Louis Duret, and the only woman who was Germaine Taillefer, and she's a great composer, and I believe that those composers need to have a little bit more light on them. So I hope that CD will bring them into light, and I hope to be able to perform their music along with Satie, Ravel, and Debussy.
I see. And you've done many CD with your lovely wife, like 4 hands, and what is it like to be performing together?
Yeah, it's a different world, because from the solo music, but we like to share the keyboard and to play a different repertoire, and we're lucky because the piano has such a vast repertoire. And I think it's in French music there were a lot of two piano and four hands music, so it was interesting to explore that as well. And as I said, I still have a few projects about other French composers that are less famous, but I think they deserve. Next year is going to be Saint-Saëns anniversary, so I intend to play more of his music, and I even want to play again the complete concertos, the 5 concertos he wrote for piano and orchestra.
Wow.
So yeah. Still have a lot of projects.
Yeah, one time one of the critics said you are one of the best one to perform the Saint-Saëns animal.
Yes, Saint-Saëns is a great composer. So,
isn't it?
And they're a very different personality from the Debussy Ravel, but that's that period in France, in turn of 19th and 20th century, was so rich for music, and not only for music but for art in general, painting, writers, choreographers. They were all working together and producing some really amazing work of art.
And I'm just curious, as a maybe small child, like out of all so many repertoire, and why make you fell in love with the French music and you become a French music specialist?
Because of my teachers, I think, because of the fact that I mentioned already that I met Marguerite Long, and my teacher was a pupil of Marguerite Long, so all those people were so close to the Ravel and Debussy and Fauré. They were able to really show me how to play it, and it was part of my family. And as I said, I of course learned all the classical German, Russian repertoire, but little by little I realized that I can bring more with the repertoire. It's closest to my heart, and also it's a less performed music, and I like the idea to. I played sometimes the premiere of Saint-Saëns concerto in Australia, and they've never been played before. So I feel proud to bring music that nobody has heard before.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so I like the idea, but at the same time it's a very approachable music, and people enjoy it. It's just that it's less performed, so I like the idea of being someone called me the ambassador of French music once, and I thought
that's wonderful.
I was very proud of that.
Yeah, I am a big fan of Debussy.
Well, you have a beautiful cello sonata for Debussy.
Oh yes, yes, and Ravel has a beautiful piano trio.
Yes, of course.
And Saint-Saëns have probably at least 2 cello concerto or something.
The chamber music in the French repertoire is Fauré has written some marvelous quartets and trios, and I do a lot of chamber music too. I think it's very important not to be always by yourself at the piano.
And you also do, besides solo, you also do a lot of chamber music as well, right?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I have always enjoyed it from my childhood. As I said, my grandfather was a violinist. I used to play with him, and I heard different instruments around me. So it's important for a pianist not to be only alone with your piano.
I think I find chamber music is even more harder than solo, right?
It's different. It's different. What I love in chamber music is to exchange ideas with other musicians, and to share music with others. So it's really, and the repertoire is so beautiful.
And where's your next stop after you leaving Taiwan?
United States, and then Korea for the. And then Japan, and then around the world. I'm a vagabond. I live around the world. I have a place somewhere in Switzerland where I go back from time to time, but I feel really at home anywhere in the world.
Because you're constantly performing and teaching.
And traveling, and it's my life. And I really enjoy being different places, and I feel a bit edgy if I stay more than 2 weeks in the same place.
Well, that is so wonderful to see you this time.
Thank you.
And I hope I can see you in the near futures again. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you.